Welcome to Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. I am Kyle Morissette, your host, and today I have Matt Copley from Horizon. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I'm really glad to be here, man. Been steeped in some good conversation over the last 24, 48 hours. So excited to continue it here.
Definitely a lot happening on our in our space right now, and all in the positive direction. More and more people getting into AI and figuring out how it all works. You're seeing a big gain, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of a wild ride out of the gate. We spent quite a bit of time in sort of closed beta, if you will, testing and getting feedback from about 20 dealerships and agencies, and then post launch, we launched. I want to say it was like third week of May. And in the subsequent 8 weeks, we've run up to about 90. We might have even broken 100 dealerships over the weekend. So it's been taken like wildfire so far, and we're just sort of staying ear to the ground, taking feedback from our users, and continuing to sharpen the sword on product.
Awesome. So what tech innovation from your platform has made the biggest impact at the dealership operationally, particularly in marketing or service or?
Yeah, I mean, it's really such a flexible and nimble tool that, every dealer's sort of, I think, starts by using it sort of in their comfort zone, and then starts to discover a lot of Easter eggs along the way and in ways that it can help. For me, being a 25-year industry guy and advertising guy, like there are obvious areas that jump out at me, right? It was always sort of confounding to me, even in my retail days, that fixed operations represents well in excess of half the dealer's profit margin, and a healthy service drive is by all means keeping the lights on and probably pumping 70, 80, 90% absorption rate. And yet, if you look at the content on the website, it's a rounding error in the overall content. Fixed ops is grossly underserved from a content perspective. And while, most departments would probably say that they could take a lot more business, and probably would, express some concern about the amount of business that is being lost via independent shops and whatnot. It's never really been a strength of fixed ops to create a commensurate amount of content to support the questions that their customer has. Furthermore, how many untold service writer hours are tied up answering questions that the customer could have already got answered on the website had they been there? So I think that there's a lot of velocity to be driven by a robust fixed operations content marketing strategy, and we support that quite well. Our dealers are seeing fairly strong lift across fixed ops, and not just in like traffic to the site, but also the downstream conversions that come from establishing that trust relationship with the customer and answering questions, and then leading them to a service scheduler or a vehicle pickup opportunity or something of that nature. So fixed ops is huge. Obviously, that's why we're here on this podcast, but the opportunities translate across pretty much every profit center in the dealership.
Sure. I find, the more demos I do and the more, the more companies that I'm looking at for whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish, looking at it now from that standpoint of I don't want to look at a product as just just a fixed ops solution. It needs to be able to serve the whole store, because I believe, more and more these products are going to be able to do that. I was lucky enough to have you provide a demo for me of your product, and I won't lie, being a fixed ops director, marketing isn't my stand. That's not where I say I'm the strongest. That's for sure. And what I find is that for me, marketing has always been going on and doing on demand through OEM, or hiring a third party to do a mailer or something to that. What it opened my eyes to is that you can teach me how to do things that I've never ever been shown. So it gives me an opportunity to be able to help my marketing team for something that maybe they're not that strong in, which is fixed. So that being said, how when you are going into a dealership, are you getting everybody from each department together to be able to show everybody, hey, this is really something that as you get your arms wrapped around it, it'll benefit the whole store, and everybody can do their piece. So, your strength and your verbiage in fixed may help us drive the traffic that we're trying to drive, just from that standpoint. You're muted.
Yeah, I mean, our most engaged dealerships are fairly proactive with sort of bringing champions in at the department level. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't always have that, the opportunity to evangelize it as widely as I think it could be evangelized, but that's fine, right? Like, there's agency considerations, how each store operates may be different. Top-down controls may be differently implemented at different stores, and rightly so in many cases, right? Like, I've lived on the retail side, and often until a dealer really understands the amount of controls that are in place, they may not want everybody just creating content. But we have tried to thread that needle to make it easy enough for somebody who's not a marketer or an SEO to create industry-leading content very, very easily, and utilize their level of expertise, whatever that may be, right? To create great content without all of the technical knowledge of, SEO and content construction, and the tagging orchestration that needs to be done to properly optimize.
It goes like that.
AI overviews, or also asked questions, or whatever else, right? It just sort of does what it's supposed to do, and enables the human to collaborate with AI to create great content in 10 minutes versus the hours and days it may have otherwise taken.
So I think one of the things that really kind of stood out to me in the demo, and again, being as basic as I am on the marketing side, something that impressed me was the fact that it'll set up a 30-second spot, whether it's radio, TV, or whether you want to be on Facebook, socials, whatever it may be. For me, that was super exciting, because I have all these ideas, I just have no idea how to put it together and then be able to verbalize it and put it where I want it to go. But I thought that was amazing. Are you seeing stores kind of get away from the standard marketing practices as far as TV and maybe even radio? And if so, or are they able to do it themselves now, where in a position before they haven't been able to? I would imagine that's a cost savings availability, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it touches on all of that. So historically, managing all of the copywriting associated with a simple campaign idea that you may have, right? Like, hey, I got some co-op money from Valvoline and I want to run this event and max it out, or whatever. right? The downstream copywriting implications of that are fairly significant, right? Like, yeah, I need a TV script, I need a radio script, I need a this, a that, a the other, whatever it may be. And let's face it, dealers have stopped buying traditional media at the scope that they were in the past. I also know it to be true that, broadcast and cable are still very effective mediums when bought right and efficiently. And when we thought about bringing a content platform to market, we didn't want to silo ourselves in like digital, right? I really think about like trying to stay out of the boxes that everybody's put themselves in this space, and just delivering flexible tools that enable someone like yourself to run at speed.
Yeah.
But in the same right, also carry through your voice, right? I think if you ask any tenured employee at a store, whether it's the 15-year service manager that's run that drive day in, day out through feast and famine, or it's a dealer principal or a tenured salesperson on the front line, all of those folks will be able to tell you a fairly consistent and meaningful story about why that store matters, their history, their DNA, what their customer means to them, and what they attempt to mean to their customer, right? But even before all of the, rise of digital automated ad campaigns and CDPs and AIs and everything else, like that was still hard to tell that story from a copywriting perspective, right? Now even more so, right? Every company coming at you has their own AI widget or the next AI thing that they're doing. Everybody's trying to sequence email and text messages and communications and phone calls and everything else. And before you know it, every vendor you work with is going to have some thing in a box that they want to be a part of their sizzle sell. How do you control all of it, right? That became the question that kept me up at night, was like, how do I know what my customer is experiencing if I can't inspect or don't have the bandwidth to inspect all of the fray of things that are going on across all of my vendors? And so it was one of the delicate needles that we attempted to thread with this, was the ability to create brand voices that could then permeate any piece of copy you may want to write, whether it's something as simple as an article or it's an event that you're running that needs a companion TV script, radio script, Facebook ad, Google ad, email template, etc., and keep the brand voice consistent across all of those pieces of content, right? Essentially putting the control back in your hands to really project the unique DNA of your store and that value proposition to your customer. In the fray of all of the communications that customer is being bombarded with, and in an age where your OEM is trying to Starbucks the storefront of every dealership, right? They don't fundamentally care where somebody buys or services their car, as long as it's under one of their brand logos.
Right.
So yeah, it's been a bit of a delicate dance, but we've come to a point where not only is Horizon supporting a lot of those pieces, but we're setting the table for the release of Horizon API, where you can start to point your vendor partners to the Horizon API to generate content that is consistent with your brand voice governance.
So that hits on something for me is what I'm finding in I guess, my newfound launch of demoing different vendors and things that are out there. And what I find is that there's folks that are really strong in one space, and I want them to stay strong in that space. And please don't complicate it more than you need to become more than what you are right now, because like what you are right now is special, right? So how can I put it all together? So now when I'm on a demo and I'm talking to a vendor, and I probably did it with you, is, hey, I have this other product that I've been looking at that I really think if we were to blend it together, can really make this pop. And if you guys can figure out how to blend, sell for each other at an affordable price where, I mean, at the end of the day, when you factor in your whole tech stack, I think you can save a lot of money from what we're paying right now. And your part of it on the marketing side, specifically on variable, the savings are unbelievable. So like, so your beta dealers at the time that you and I started talking, 95% of them were saying they were saving 95% of their time. That doesn't even go into the fact, that time is worth money. I can only imagine how much money they're saving. But now think about it the way that you're saying, hey, I want to invite other people that come in that can get our word out, make you look better, help you be transparent to your guest, and be that service that you have never been before. Because I've been saying it a lot lately, is I don't think we've ever been in this position to be as transparent, honest, caring, empathetic, supportive of our clientele as we are right now. Like, this is the turning point. This is back in the day, Ford said, hey, I don't want to do tires anymore, go somewhere else, which is where the independents come from, right? This is our biggest opportunity to be able to get this whole market back and put it where it belongs, right? So put it where it belongs, where the car was built, with the people that are working specifically for that brand. So you saying that, hey, I want to, I invite other people to come and play in the sandbox, because in reality, there's no borders on the sandbox. We're in a zone where everybody is wide open. And the more we work together and the more we think about it and put our heads together and work together as a team, the more value that's there. And I think if we do all of that, financially, we're all going to be fine, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we all just want to be able to take care of our families. We want to give a good product. We want to take care of our employees. We want to do all those things, right? Yep. But if we all do it together, there's so much opportunity for us to do it the right way, not have to gouge anybody, just be fair, right? And get paid what you should get paid for the job. We all win. So you saying that really just, really, you're the first one, when I say you're the first one to publicly say, I want to play with other vendors. Now, in demos, I have people that have said, hey, listen, I've said to them, hey, listen, I want you to talk to this vendor. I want you to tell me if you guys can work in the same sandbox. And I'll sit on the call. I have no problem. Hey, this is my vision. Can you guys do it? Because I think if you do, you're going to sell to beaucoup dealerships, and we all win. So I guess leading with that, as you're building that, do you have people already in mind that you want to team with? And you don't have to tell me specifics, but do you already have some things in the works, or?
Yeah, so we're definitely exploring a wide array of cross-vendor integrations. I spent a handful of years of my career, I was blessed to be able to be, in merger and acquisition research with vendors and sort of explore how companies operated. Automotive has historically been very much focused on like building virtual or vertical monopolies, right? Think, DMS providers, et cetera, like everybody, without naming any names, I'm sure like they're bubbling up in everybody's stomach right now.
some MPI providers on the site.
Like it, you know, they all want to sort of be the solution for everything and force you into their vertical monopoly of products. And you know, they did it so well for so many years that, you know, there's probably not a dealer in the country that doesn't have some product from some one of these major providers, right? You know, X Time, for instance, is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. But what I see outside of automotive is the most successful tech platforms are integrating everywhere, right? It is, oh yeah, sure. There's a plugin for that in HubSpot, no problem, right? And so I've been much more of the vein to integrate everywhere, right? I don't need to be the vertical monopoly and build the solution for everything the dealer might need. I just need to do a few things really, really well, and then focused on integrating with whatever vendor subset they work with. Because fundamentally, I don't care. I want the dealer to win, right?
And thank you for that. You know, from being in a dealer and being, you know, an operator on the fixed side and doing everything I can to learn about the whole store. You know, hearing that is a breath of fresh air, right? Because we forever have dealt with just that. It's one size fits all. We built it so that it would work in any store, anywhere, not even just in the country, in the world, right? We just change language. And the reality is that we're learning now with this, you know, AI and the automation and everything that comes into play, that's just not how it is anymore. I mean, my store here and my sister's store a mile and a half down the road, two completely different buildings. Their building is older. It doesn't have all the same things. They can't put things in it that I can put in mine. The reality is I have different needs, and so do they. How do we accommodate all those needs? And you being willing to do that, amongst a couple other vendors that you know, I'm partnering with, makes the biggest difference. One of the things that I've been or trying to and have been kind of vocal on is AI and its its people's fear of it costing people jobs. It's something that I absolutely don't believe that it has to cost people jobs. I think that it's there to enhance and make you better. What is your opinion on, you know, that subject, and how do you make people feel more comfortable? Because I imagine when you go into a store and the marketing team sitting in front of you and you're offering all this help, well, all these people are saying, well, God, that's what I've been doing. So how are you offering, or do you have a plan to help either repurpose or set those people up so that I guess the employee count stays the same, but those folks have even more added value from before you got there?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And your standard AI founder line would be something like, oh, we're not here to replace your people. We're here to make your people better. As you probably know by now, I'm a bit of a contrarian. And I think that AI exposes and accelerates whatever it touches. Okay.
Yeah.
And so for me, the stability of anybody's role in a dealership is largely going to be predicated on their leadership's ability to guide them into evolutionary definitions of work, right? AI will replace repetitive process everywhere. I mean, there are AI companies gunning to replace every role in the dealership, or at least the repetitive work associated with it, right? So for me, like, I think it's somewhat disingenuous as a founder to come in and say, oh no, everything's going to be roses and puppy dogs. because it won't. Like, it will expose complacent people that don't really want to be there, and it will replace them. It will expose complacent managers that don't really want to be there, and it'll replace them. But on the flip side, people who take it in stride and look at where the opportunities exist to collaborate with AI to make what they do great, 10 times more powerful every day, 10 times faster, more efficient, more impactful for the store, will thrive in an AI-enabled world, right? So, yeah, there is a lot of pushback from the threat, but know that threat isn't coming from any one vendor you may sit in a meeting with, right? It's coming from every direction.
Sure.
And so I think it's imperative upon every leader in a dealership, like you are, to be leading that conversation, right? And already working on envisioning, like, how do I empower my people with these AI tools to be exponentially better and faster at what they do? Because what's that going to enable, right? It's going to enable them to have more time to make more human connections with more customers, which is going to be the currency that we're trading in when AI is automating everything, right? What will be valuable then in a sea of AI automation is the human connection, right? And fundamentally, I mean, we encountered this firsthand shopping for a car a month ago. We haven't bought a car yet. I will tell you that a myriad of my time has been wasted with a bunch of AI automated nonsensical noise. But my wife asked for something quite simple, right? Pictures and a Carfax on a car that didn't have pictures yet, right? Had some stock photos.
Sure.
We encountered the AI receptionist that promised us we'd have those photos and everything we asked for within 2 hours. Didn't come. We then got a slew of text messages and emails and follow-up phone calls from said AI, asking us to do any number of ridiculous things like come down this afternoon when we're 560 miles away.
Yeah.
Or 600 miles away. So,
fill out a credit app.
No, actually offered to work numbers. 6 days later, let us know that a price drop had occurred on the car and they're willing to rework numbers.
Wow.
And so I say all of this not to beat on the store, because probably they're doing all of these things with good intent, but fundamentally not understanding the processing contingencies of one AI, but probably have a myriad of other automated processes that they may or may not know exist that are happening at the same time, and the customer suffers, right?
Yeah.
So if I think about that same process at that store, a year from now, it's probably going to be happening with 50, 60, 70% of the other stores I've touched. And now as a customer, I'm getting an onslaught of 2,500 communication attempts having called on 4 or 5 cars.
With no answer.
With nothing actually really addressing the issue. And the saddest part of this was that me, as a 25-year car guy, I'm like, this is a shitty experience. I'll probably just be a good guy and reach out to the GM and the DSM and say, hey guys, like, I just want you to know this is going on, right? Because if it was my store, I would. And I did. I emailed him. I reached out. I said, listen, like, this is what I've experienced. Here's the sequence of things I've been hit with. Just thought you'd like to know. The GSM responded to me. He was super kind, thankful, referred me to a salesperson. I just happened to pick up the phone. I don't normally, from a number I don't know. I happened to pick up the phone. I had a feeling, and pick it up, and he's like, you could hear it in his voice, this tone of just utter defeat. And he starts the call with me by apologizing and says, I'm so sorry. They've got all these AIs, and it's almost impossible for me to even get in touch with a customer anymore.
Yikes.
And I felt for the guy, right? Like, I've sold cars on the front line. I know the grind. I know how hard it is to get in touch and build trust with a customer anyway. And so I say this all with a word of caution for the industry, because I hear a lot of companies out there just saying, oh, we're going to go automate everything and the magic's going to happen and you can fire people and relieve headcount cost and all this other stuff. What we know, being hands in the soil with AI for the last 2.5 years, and we work with all the biggest LLMs, Grok, OpenAI, Gemini, etc. Left to its own devices, AI is going to AI.
Yeah.
It will do stupid stuff. It will not follow instructions. It will get into habits of shortcutting things. And so, yeah, I would encourage all of your people that there is a deep need for human collaboration with AI for the long-term foreseeable future, 5-10 years out, before we have AI trained to automate things consistently, right? We still to this day do not see it 100% perfect all of the time. It just isn't.
Right.
Is it making us exponentially better? Yes. Are service departments seeing windfall improvements in like macro level performance when they engage a NUMA or a UVI into their service drive? 100%, no doubt about it, right? Like, people aren't waiting on hold. They're not hanging up and abandoning calls anymore. However, all of these are often implemented in ways that don't account for contingencies in real customer situations that are unplanned, right? Sure. My co-founder had his GMC Yukon 6.2 blow up on the highway at 60 miles an hour, right?
Thanks.
Those engines have failed all over the country, right? It's a known issue. But when he's trying to call into the service department to get an update on the status, the AI receptionist kept leading him into a dead end.
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine once you're already pissed.
It only gets worse.
And then you can't talk to a human. I mean, his heat level goes like this. And so I think there is a bit of an untold story that will play out over the next 3 to 5 years around, yes, we're doing better with overall macroeconomics of the statistics that we are measuring, but what is the lost customer lifecycle cost that's unknown to us because the customer is getting pissed off and unable to talk to it. So we'll see, but we're trying to do the content piece really, really well. Enable the dealer to inject their DNA into the voice of the content, the scripting, the copy, whatever it is. And then, great, if you want to point NUMA at us for more customized content and not just sort of the default dealer communication, great. You want to point your TV rep at Verizon for TV commercial scripts, fantastic, right? Point your CRM at us for follow-up messages and service reminders and other things like that, great. Now you're not just getting the off-the-shelf AI script that everybody else is running.
Yeah, it's all going to be individualized.
Yeah,
which is huge. I think a lot of what you're saying and I learned it the hard way, right? So I brought in a voice bot. That was my first AI, movement, and I did a bunch of work, a bunch of research beforehand, and I noticed, that I didn't like a couple of particular bots that were out there. I don't want to say names either, but they just people would end up in a loop, and that wasn't something I was comfortable with. It's not successful, but I found a company 7-8 months ago that had a bot that just impressed me, and it was just a random email where they said, "Hey, click this link, call this phone number, and see what it does." And so I called. I was impressed. I made a phone call. We got a demo. The thing blew my doors off. I could ask it all sorts of questions. It knows where to go to dinner here in town if my wife wants a nice Italian dinner. I could say anything I wanted with it, right? But not realizing that when it gets here, that's not what shows up. I know that, and because of all those other products like Next Time or anything else, you figure it's plug and play, figure it out, and here we go. Well, it's not. None of these solutions, yours included, right? Yours is only as good as the input that's coming into it, just like anybody else's. And so I found that I worked harder on that employee. Now, mind you, that employee was doing an infinite amount of phone calls, a couple thousand a month, whatever it is, right? I'm reviewing every one of those and figuring out, hey, what the hell's going wrong? Why am I having this fail rate? Why is this happening? Whatever it may be. So I guess what I get down to on that is this conversation about, you trying to buy a vehicle and having all that problem. Really, is it the bot's fault? Is it the AI's fault? Or is it the fact that this dealership had an idea of this is just going to be easy and it's just going to do our job for us and I don't have to do anything with it, and not knowing how to train it, watch it, and be able to oversee it? I mean, you have to manage it. It's another employee for me. I don't call her a bot. She has a name. Her name is Alicia, and that's what my team refers to her. So I think a lot of the win for me is my team. I've been very, very, very clear. This is what we're doing. This is why it's here. This is what we want to accomplish from it. None of you are going to be at risk. I'm not going to, as long as you perform with the machine, then everybody's going to win.
Everybody's going to win.
Loses money. Everybody's going to be fine. But so I guess, from a standpoint of what we're trying to do with your product and drive more business all the way around. One of the departments that gets the department that gets the least amount of action and conversation is parts. One of those things is, and it's one of our weaknesses, is counter sales and wholesale, right? So how does Horizon come around to assist the parts department in a way that we've never seen before?
Yeah, so Horizon is very capable of writing great parts content. Not only retail, but definitely wholesale and commercial accounts and things of that nature, right? Like, oftentimes, your average everyday parts consumer doesn't understand the array of parts services that a dealership can or does provide. I think, one of the first places to look, though, is like, okay, what am I supporting from a parts perspective on the site today? And oftentimes that's like a contact us, right? And so, I mean, dude, I saw this opportunity as a glaring one 20 years ago. I'm dating myself, but like trying to get real online parts catalogs injected into my website. Your average truck buyer spends some ungodly amount of money, $2,800. That number's probably dated by 10 years. I bet it's closer to $5,000 now in accessorization.
Yeah.
And almost inevitably that is happening outside of the dealership. Why? Because, parts is like some little corner in the service department waiting room where we have a couple parts in a dusty glass case that hadn't been looked at for a couple of years,
12 model years back.
Yeah, I mean, And so this whole opportunity to highlight parts and aftermarket in a new way is massive, right? You think about a lot of the new vehicles that are being built now too, they're very much like these ultra um, you know, ultra loyal sort of trendy category threads, right? TRD brands and Mazda Speed, and like there are these very sort of loyal threads in almost every OEM that you'll find. There's something, right, that could be really highlighted from a parts and accessorization perspective.
Sure.
There's a ton of expertise in the store too that just goes by the wayside, right? And when you look at the evolution of like generative search engines, Perplexity and OpenAI search and Grok and whatnot, they're all hungry for local expert content, right? Most dealerships don't have like high turnover rates in service and parts directors, right? They find one that's really good and they're there for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Often that expert in the market is hidden behind the day-to-day busyness of the service drive, the parts wholesale calls that they have to handle, et cetera. And so a big piece of Horizon is the ability to sort of hold that champion up in the market, help them to create high quality content that's leveraging their expertise, and showcase that expertise in the market for the dealership. The good news is that parts content just nationwide, right? Like you look for parts online, it's a hard deal.
Yeah, miserable task.
There are a million questions that you have an opportunity to answer and serve that customer with today, that are being asked of search engines, and they're being led into wild goose chases on some parts catalog site that they have no understanding of, right? You could look at Reddit forum after Reddit forum.
Yeah.
You could look at, owner blog threads. I mean, any of us who have owned a car and tried to figure out, why this light is on or how I find the appropriate part to replace this, it's hard, right? Like it is a whole sort of forest of minefields and unanswered questions that exist out there. And in my eyes, that just represents opportunity everywhere for the dealership to increase sales velocity, increase customer confidence, trust, etc.
Yeah, but how many people are going out there just swinging the bat after 18 questions? All right, just send me the part. I'll take a shot. And it's wrong.
Yeah, I'll take a shot. Like, try and install this. Somebody on Quora said this.
Yeah.
Somebody on Reddit said it might work with enough duct tape and a leather.
Just see what happens. I think for me, I want to work with the product and be able to. I think it's going to help me on the variable side for sure. Somebody like myself that's looking for continued growth, right? Not necessarily in fixed, and doesn't mean that I'll leave fixed, but I'd like the idea of understanding variable more. I think that looking at the marketing side of what we do, I think that there's plenty of opportunity for us to change the way we've been doing it and be able to get in front of customers and get the right data and be able to pinpoint that data in. So like one of the things that you were saying is there's this entourage of questions when you're trying to find a part. But if they're coming to our website or whatever because of a search engine that got us here, now we can take the data that we have with the information that got them here and actually not have to ask them those questions anymore. And we're going to get the right part.
Yeah. So you're getting into powerful stuff here, right? Like the rise of CDPs done right. I mean, boy, you pair it with Horizon content and start to understand that a customer has engaged in all of these pieces of informative content throughout their journey before now going to search or picking up the phone and calling and whatever. All of a sudden you can start to know a lot more intimate information about what might have driven that call in the first place, right? So I think what sits on the horizon, pun intended, is a number of opportunities and efficiencies with respect not only to how we communicate with the customer, but also with what it is going to mean from an ad cost perspective in customer acquisition, right? If we're touching our customer earlier and more often in their pre and post purchase, their ownership life cycle, their maintenance, parts acquisition, and service life cycle, what's going to happen is our CDP is going to know a lot more about what the next most reasonable messages to that customer.
Sure.
But also when they go to a search engine unprompted and they get hit with an ad that they interact with, that ad is going to be more relevant.
Yeah.
And furthermore, cost you a lot less to win the customer.
Sure.
Because you already have them in your database. You know more about their journey, where they're at in that journey, their life cycle, et cetera.
Absolutely.
I think that there's, the more helpful content that exists on your website, it presents better opportunities to establish that parts and accessories expertise, not only in the sales aftermarket upsell process, but also post-sale, to bring them back to the well when they do decide to put the bike rack on the car or the camper shell on the vehicle or whatever else. Just tying the knot with the parts thing, it's really important for every dealership to have a full parts experience and accessories experience, right? Because parts isn't really sexy, right? People aren't going out saying, oh man, what parts can I buy next and what's going to fail next and how, but they're often going out to accessorize, right? Yep. The accessories present the opportunity for the parts department to build that customer relationship, the trust, the excitement about the vehicle, other accessories that exist, et cetera. And once that trust relationship's built, oh yeah, by the way, you might want to upgrade the transmission in your diesel truck. If you are going to be pulling that fifth wheel toy hauler, you might want to look at this upgraded, torque converter or something like that,
right.
and bring that customer into a more enthusiast-driven parts and accessorization track than one that is driven by, emergency.
Yeah, for the aftermarket. Doing better job
because then once you've built that aftermarket relationship with the customer, you're the go-to guy when something does break in and it's an emergency. Yeah. So I think there's definitely a symbiotic relationship that has a lot of opportunity for growth between the sales process, the new vehicle or used vehicle sales process, and the turn to customer life cycle, service, loyalty, either patriotization or repatriatization of those lost customers that maybe have wandered away from the dealership because they didn't feel like there was the support, the answers to the questions, or the expertise, right? And that's definitely there. It's just often hidden behind the veil of a website that's 95% focused on sales and leasing and incentives of new vehicles.
Sure. Well, I definitely, I know I've kept you on quite a long time, and it's been a fun day and awesome conversation. And what I do know is that Horizon is definitely a big player in your market, and you should be looking at them if you're looking to expand your touch to your customer base. But more importantly in this conversation is Matt and the team want to engage with everybody else so that your dealership wins. I felt that in our demo. I felt that in our conversation, which is why I said, hey, I think we should do this podcast, because I love where you come from and what you stand for. Any final words before we go on, or?
Yeah, I mean, here we are 100% trying our best every day to deliver solutions that put tailwind behind our dealers, our agency partners, and their other vendor relationships, right? We absolutely want to be a value add, no-brainer partner for a dealer. I always sort of think about platforms like Xtime and vAuto as like, these software that if something's not working in a department, right, like they sit a new person down in front of the software, they don't change the software.
Right.
I want to have that kind of basic value delivery to every dealer. So we're ears to the ground with dealers, we're ears to the ground with our agencies, and we're ears to the ground with other vendor partners, because we're just trying to deliver a thread line that enables enterprise grade brand control across content, and we're under no illusion that a dealer's not going to work with multiple other vendors, right? How can we deliver value across what the dealer really wants to do, what the dealer needs to handle every day, and help them free up more of their time to be in front of customers, building more relationships and driving more revenue.
Awesome. Well, again, I thank you, Matt, for your time. I know it's a busy time for you, and if you haven't seen a demo from Horizon, you're missing out. So I implore you to have a listen, see what they have to offer. I guarantee you that if you take the time, you're going to find value in the product. I know I do significantly believe that all the way around, and I believe it to be genuine as far as the want for everybody to win. So please look them up. They have a great product and one that I think we can all win with. So, Matt, thank you so much. Go ahead.
And we're putting our money where our mouth is, right? We give it away for free to every dealer in the country. If you don't want to pay for it, use it anyway. You can build 2 articles a month for free. You can try any of our paid plans for 2 weeks for free as well. So really trying to put our best foot forward there, right? One of our pet peeves early on was always like, every vendor wants $1,000 setup fee and 30-day implementation and 120-day contract to show you the magic. Not us. Free around and find out, as we like to say. Check out the platform, get a demo. I'm happy to jump in and help understand how it can deliver value to the store. We wanted to make it easy to adopt and easy to understand where the value delivery is, without the need for contract setup fees or anything else.
Awesome. So there you go. You get to try it for free, and even if you don't pay, you get to do 2 a month. So can't hurt to give it a shot and be with a great team. So Matt, thank you so much for being on Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast.
Absolutely, Kyle. Thanks for the time and the platform. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, man.